Attention on Toy Story Mania. Andy and his friends have come over and have unfortunately disrupted your Midway games. Please keep your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle and we'll try to get you up and running as soon as possible. End scene. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of The Truth Behind the Magic. Kind of just a variation on the intro there, because in this episode we are going to be talking about all things attractions. We are going to be listing our top 10 favorite attractions from all of Disney World. Once again, like the last video, I'm not counting the water parks. I don't think anyone in their right mind would have a slide at a water park as one of their favorite attractions, but you never know. Well, the lazy river, maybe you can make a argument that's one of the best things, but definitely not top 10 level. But yeah, to kind of preface this like I prefaced the last one, I kind of looked at this in terms of not necessarily just the sheer like best ride experience at Disney, but it also needs to account, you know, wait times. Not that that's the biggest factor, but like, can I get on this ride literally if I go in the park? Because there are some rides you can't. I mean, quite literally with the virtual queue, sometimes you cannot get on an attraction. And some rides just have like a 2-hour wait all the time. So definitely there are multiple factors at play here other than just the quality of this ride for the time you're on it. The queue comes into play, that sort of thing. So yeah, I guess I'll just go ahead and get started. Number 10 was pretty tough for me. I believe it was Tower of Terror and Test Track were kind of battling it out with this ride for the number 10 spot. And some people are going to be like, wow, you actually put this above those two. But for me, number 10 is Star Tours at Hollywood Studios. And some people are going to be like, what? This ride's literally just sitting in a row that moves around with 30 other people while watching a screen. But honestly, if that's how you look at it, I'd say that's pretty much below what the real experience is. But no. Not even just that it's a phenomenal ride, but I do actually enjoy the ride itself. I like the Star Wars characters. When you get one of the classic sequences where it's like on Kashyyyk or Tatooine or something like that, those are the really good runs on that attraction. And I like the movement, you know, when it goes into hyperspeed, you really feel like you are... Yeah, when it goes into light speed, you feel like you're going into light speed, honestly. But no, the big thing is it's pretty much a walk-on attraction at all times. It might get up to 15 minutes, but usually even when it's posted at 15, it's walk-on. So to me, it takes the top 10. It reaches the top 10 because I have ridden that ride, honestly, probably more than anything else at Disney. Except maybe like Pirates of the Caribbean, People Mover, those might be in play. But Star Tours, when you go to Hollywood Studios a lot, if you're on a college program, you will realize it is actually a very good attraction for what it is. But yeah, that's number 10 on my list.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, definitely. If anything else, like I say, if you want the emulsion of it, if you want the nostalgic of it, definitely a good attraction to be a part of. Because yeah, I mean, you know, it's cool also because during the ride, you know, one of the passengers on the flight happens to be a quote unquote spy for the Jedi, and you know, your mission is to get to a base or back to where you started from in order to really make sure that spy gets there safely and that the Jedi went out, because the dark side, you don't want to mess with the dark side. So that's just something to keep. Dark side, he has fun.
Emperor Palpatine.
The dark side has consumed him. And that's my Master Yoda impression.
No.
So that's my Master Yoda impression there. And with that, like I say, we and that's another thing you will also, again, make sure you're good at it before you do them, or at least you get the okay. But yeah, impressions not only maybe of characters, but even just of, like, let's say you have a fellow cast member who's from Ireland or who's from England or something like that. If you're gonna speak with an Irish accent, you better make sure it's okay with them, don't you know? I don't know. Otherwise, it's just, it could be seen as bad to them or insulting or whatever the case may be. So you just need to make sure that it's good enough to where they're okay with it. And who knows, they might even respond to you in that specific accent. So you never know. So that's just a way to, connect with people as well. But yeah, like you say, Star Tours number 10, definitely a good ride to just be a part of. And just, if anything, it's good air conditioning just to, if you're just sitting there, it's just good to relax, unwind. And when you go into that light speed, woo, boy, you might not see it coming. Even, I don't care if you've ridden it 100 times, and you're like, oh, the light speed's coming. Well, you feel it. Believe you me. With that, we'll go on to number 9. Light speed.
Yep, grab the throttle and push it forward. If you've ever ridden Smuggler's Run, like if you're the pilot, you get to grab the thing and pull it to go into light speed. That's the best part of that ride. If you get to be a pilot, but that ride will not be on this list. I will tell the people that straight up right now. Because if you get bad pilots or if you get the engineer seat, it is a pretty horrible experience. But number 9, right down the road, essentially, from both Star Tours and Smuggler's Run, which came up in the conversation, Toy Story Mania. This one might surprise people being in the top 10. And if you know us, you might know that I worked at Toy Story Mania. But that is really not affecting this positively. I did not have the greatest of work experience working there, but it at least did give me the chance to ride the ride many times. And I came to realize it really is a great experience. I mean, it's effectively a game, like, instead of a ride. I find it to be much better than Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. I know a lot of people will probably disagree with that, but I think it's a lot more intuitive to, like, know what the points mean and you know what you're doing. And of course, there's the secrets in each scene that can get you a lot of points.
Yeah.
But no, it really is just, it's a fun ride. Unfortunately, it does have an hour wait or a 45-minute wait or more a lot of the time. But sometimes later in the day, especially, you can go on it and walk right back on. Like, just go around the queue, get right back on. But yeah, that would be number 9 on my list. I don't know if you have anything different at number 9. You probably do.
No, that's pretty good there at number 9. And by the way, when we did go, he whooped butt. I mean, again, now he did know all the secrets and stuff, so I gotta give him that. But no, he thoroughly beat me. It was horrible. But speaking of the Buzz Lightyear thing, I did get my revenge in that. So that was good. So I might not have beat him in the Toy Story Mania, but at Magic Kingdom, I am the king for Buzz Lightyear. So that's there. Yeah, it's definitely fun. And each thing you're kind of shooting your balloons or paintballs at. It's also cool because it changes for each theme. It goes from like the classic, like you're shooting at plates and stuff, to, more dinosaur themed and stuff like that. So definitely, definitely something that I would recommend you going to do, because it is a lot of fun. Now, it is about wait time. And we actually got lucky. We didn't have to use a fast pass or anything. I don't know what the situation was. I think it had broken down, and no one had realized it. So or wanted to get back on it. So as a result, we just snaked through those wait lines, and it was like maybe 5 minutes maybe. It didn't take us long to get to the front. But
nope, not at all.
But it was funny, right when we got
on to number 8. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say yeah, but I will say yeah. Sadly, when we came back out, we're like, oh, let's do it again. Well, nobody realized that the line had started. So sadly, we didn't get to do it twice in a row like we would have liked, but we still got pretty fun out of it.
Yeah, if you can get to an attraction right after it opens back up from a downtime, that is the perfect time to go on. Unless it does immediately break down again, which could happen while you're in the queue. But going on to number 8, this is something that some may say is the wildest ride in the wilderness. Now, some people may not be happy that I have this all the way down at number 8. But it definitely is deserving of the top 10. On a different day, I might put it even higher. In fact, this last program I did in 2023, Big Thunder Mountain, you could pretty much walk onto that thing, or it was a 15-minute wait every time. I think since other things have kind of opened up in the park or opened back up, it's kind of gone down people's list of thrill attractions in Magic Kingdom. I don't really know why. I think it's better than Space Mountain. It's honestly better than the Tron attraction too, because that thing's like 55 seconds long or whatever. But no, I think the reason it's not higher for me is because that queue is pretty brutal. Like every once in a while you'll reach a ceiling fan or something like that, but it is effectively an outdoor queue. And there's usually like no breeze going through there, so it's pretty rough by the time you get to the ride. But once you get up there, definitely one of the top experiences at all of Disney World.
Yeah, I'm not having it that low. I'm saying top 5, maybe even top 3. In fact, yeah, I will put it as number 3 for sure, because that thing, now I will say, obviously people are like, it is kind of noisy at times, and there is like Jason said, great point about the queue, it is outside, but it's definitely once again an emerged experience. You feel like you're getting ready to go down into the mine and start working a mining shift. What you're missing is a pickaxe, probably in a mining hat, but yeah, that's basically what it feels like, so that's cool. And it's just, yeah, truly a great ride to have. Now, before you get on that ride, and let's say you take the monorail to Magic Kingdom, there's another saying that every programmer will know how to say this both in English and in Spanish. It goes like this: please, let's see, how does it go? I'm trying to think now. It's funny, I remember the Spanish part, but not. Oh yeah, please keep clear of the door. Por favor, mantenga alejado de los puertas. So that you're gonna remember that for the rest of your life. That saying right there. Please stand clear of the doors, and then the Spanish version asking the same thing. So yeah, it's comedy gold. You hear it enough when you get on the monorail. It is funny. But yeah, if you do go to the parks all the time, you're going to hear that. And then, if you want to go to, of course, Big Thunder, you will hear the wildest ride in the wilderness, as we have both said.
It is truly wild. So coming up to number 7, some people are probably going to be angry because I'm not putting this in the top 5. And honestly, it probably wouldn't have even been in my top 10 up until the past year or so, because things have kind of happened. But 7 for me is Rise of the Resistance in Galaxy's Edge. Some people, this is their favorite ride. One of my roommates last program, well, both of my roommates loved Star Wars, but one of them really loved this attraction, and it is spectacular. I won't really spoil it if you haven't ridden it, but it's like multiple ride vehicles in one. It's very unique. It has I would say, a very good story. A lot of the animatronics are really cool when they're working. That's the problem. There's like an A show and a B show. And if you get the A show and Kylo Ren is actually functioning properly, it's extremely good. It's a nice long ride. The queue is really cool. It's almost like 2 rides in one, honestly, because you have to get on like a little pre-show vehicle and then you actually go into the main queue. But no, the reason I say it probably wouldn't have even been on my list a couple of years ago is because it had a virtual queue, because it was like the new thing at Disney. And it had like a 2-hour plus wait all the time, but that has finally worn off. It took multiple years, but it has finally gotten to where you can get on there in like 30 minutes or less sometimes, even if it's posted higher. Sometimes you can walk in like 30 minutes, even if it says it's an hour. But yeah, very good attraction. I would say it's like the newest iteration of the Haunted Mansion, honestly, as far as the ride vehicle and that kind of thing. But yeah, definitely spectacular.
I would say for me on my list, it's number 5, just because, I mean, that drop, man, if you're not expecting, because when I first wrote it, you're chilling, and then you look over and you see on the screen there, you see one of the escape hatches drop. I'm like, oh Jesus, we're gonna drop. And you do feel it, and it is, it's definitely a thrill part of the ride. And sadly, yeah, so Kylo Ren there at the end, like the last little tidbit before that happens, sometimes he's working, sometimes he's not. There's actually one time we got lucky, because Jason had never seen him working, and when I was there, it seems like all the luck happens when I went to visit him after we both did our program.
Are you Irish?
Yeah, I might be. But yeah, right after we, I think I'm like 8%. Yeah. But no, right after the program, right after that first program, that's when it opened. So sadly, I wasn't able to see it when it initially opened. I was there when the park opened, the Star Wars side of it opened, but I was not there when Rise of Resistance opened. But it was cool. And yeah, Jason had tried to see it with Kylo Ren, and it was like, nah, just one happened. And then finally, just out of the blue, it worked. And it was so much more enticing and exciting to have that happen. Now, I will say this, before you get on the rides and stuff like that, like when you're, again, captured by the Empire, definitely don't try to do a Jar Jar Binks impression. They don't like it. I did. They didn't like it. They came up. I'm like, oh, Mr. Sorry. I'm not doing no more. Mr. So sorry. So yeah, you got to be careful with Jar Jar Binks. He is sadly still like one of the top 5 most hated Star Wars characters of all time, if not number 1. On a lot of people's lists. So other than that, it should be good. It is a cool ride, and that's why I have it in my top 5, just because of, again, how exciting it is, how immersed it is, but also how cool the attention to detail they put in.
Indeed. Yeah, all of Galaxy's Edge, well, for the most part, is very well detailed. The merchandise there is easily the best on property. And the attractions are pretty good too, especially Rise of the Resistance. Smuggler's Run, as we've talked about, it's coming up once again in the discussion. Not the best, but it's not terrible. So coming to number 6, I have Expedition Everest. And it's because I'm someone that does like thrill rides very much. And it's pretty hard to find a true coaster at Disney, especially an outdoor coaster. Well, mostly outdoor. And I love the theming. The queue is not too bad. They have a single rider queue. It's one of the only places on property that does. So I use that all the time. It's just everything about it I like. It has one of the best drops. I would say it has the best single drop on all of Disney property. That drop, it hits you big time. The big drop towards the end. Very thrilling. It goes backwards. I mean, it's not the fastest coaster of all time, but no Disney rides really are. But yeah, it just reaches number 6 for me because in a park that really is lacking in the ride department, it is a very clear outlier as far as that's concerned.
Yeah. And I would have it at number 6 too. And also, before you even get on the ride, close to it, you got to worry about the howler monkeys that are literally just right there, and they will be howling and going buck wild. So you got to keep that in mind. But yeah, Expedition Everest, it's definitely the highest because, they're trying to simulate Everest. So it is the highest roller coaster ride you will go on at Disney property. But if you do not like going backwards on a roller coaster, not the ride for you, because you do. Once you get to the tippity top, it's like, whoops, oh, the track's broken. We got to go backwards. So there's that. And then you got to watch out for the Yeti, who does not move, as many people know from Disney lore, because they claim the structure cannot actually support him moving about. So they would just have him standing there. When they originally did the ride, he was supposed to be like grabbing that at you, which probably, it would definitely make the ride more intimidating for some, but like kids could not go on it because they'd probably be scared to death. I mean, that'd probably give them nightmares. So as a result, yeah, it wasn't for that. It was just because of the structure of the part or the ride not being sturdy enough to handle the Yeti's movements. They just have it forever stationary, and they just have like a flash on it. So, but it's still scary enough. I mean, if you were trying to go on a date and you saw that, you'd be like, whoa, what is that? So just something to keep in mind.
Yep, and that's a very good point about how high the coaster goes, because you get some very good views when you're going up the lift hill. You can see a lot of Disney property from there. It's very interesting. Now we've reached the top 5, at least on my list. This is another one that is going to be controversial because many people consider this number 1 now. And this is Galaxy's Edge. Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind at Epcot. Now, I am someone that loves like Disney history, the historical things at Disney, stuff that's been there a while. This ride is phenomenal. I mean, there's no two ways about it. 100% is a phenomenal attraction. Probably one of the best. Well, certainly one of the best at Disney, obviously, because how I have it on this list. But it's not been there long enough for me to consider it top 3. I'm not a big fan of the song selection. Well, I like most of it. September is obviously a great song. I've been listening to that for years, long before it was a part of a Disney attraction. But a lot of the other choices are just questionable to me. I Ran is just a horrible song. I know that's going to offend people. Not a big fan of the song in general. Terrible for that attraction. Disco Inferno, fine, but not really a huge song. I'm not sure why they put it on the ride. One Way or Another is a good one. It's definitely fitting for the attraction. It's like the only real rock song on the ride, honestly. And what's the last one that I'm forgetting? Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I like that song, but I just don't think it's fitting for the attraction once again. But beyond that, I do like rides that have music, so regardless of what song it is, I do enjoy that it's a ride that has music playing through, like, the seat itself. But another big reason it's not any higher than this is because you have to have a virtual queue or a lightning lane. And I'm just not huge on rides that you have to do that. I know it would probably have like a 3-hour wait or whatever if you did that, if you didn't have the virtual queue. But to me, it's just not at the level yet where it can go any higher than number 5. I do love the experience, though, because I like coasters, and it doesn't go upside down, so even for people who don't like the really extreme stuff, it's well worth riding.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you nailed it on the head, man. It's good. Yep, 'cause I am Groot. That's what I have to say to that. So yeah, and with that, we will move on to the next one.
All right, and number 4, I know this is going to cause controversy because it won't just be controversy outside of this virtual room. There will be controversy right here, right now, because at number 4, I have Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, oh no! Oh, you didn't. Why, buddy? Why? It's a top 3. I mean, okay, number 2, maybe not the number 1, but come on. Oh, oh my gosh, this guy is killing me.
Maybe if there was a Dole Whip stand in the attraction, it would be number 1.
Oh my gosh.
But it definitely is one of the best rides, one of the most classic Disney attractions of all time, and I do love it. And it's always easy to get on. Like, it pretty much never reaches... It can reach 45 minutes, but just don't go on it when it's 45 minutes. You can find it at 15 minutes or less a lot of the time. The reason it doesn't reach top 3 for me is because it's not as long as the Disneyland one. In fact, it's only like half as long. It only has 1 drop. It definitely is still amazing. Well worth going on many times as you possibly can. But my number 3 choice is controversial too. Not that I'm going to that right now, but I'm just saying the reason it's not number 3 or higher is because my number 3 pick is so weird. Otherwise, it would be in there. But yeah, that's pretty much my spiel on Pirates. I know you'll have a lot to say.
Yeah, see, folks, I have to apologize for him. You know, I don't know if he did anything before the show. I have no idea. But, folks, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, Pirates of the Caribbean that inspired the movies, that did it all, that ride is at number 2 at least, if not number 1 for sure, for me. And the reason why I say that is, you know, yeah, the queue, even when it's long, the queue might be like 45 to 50 minutes. However, it's just the smells, the sounds, the music going on while you're waiting, you know, and then when you get off the ride, being told, you know, we were lucky today, the seas were calm, but there may be a day where we have to face Davy Jones that I want to send you to. I feel like Captain Barbosa that just wants to send him to the Davy Jones locker. I mean, it's just, but yeah, in all seriousness, no, it's awesome because yeah, even though there is just 1 drop, and it is like Jason said, half the runtime as the Disneyland one, it's still cool because again, you know, there is that big drop, and then you know, right, you're immediately put into a battle. There's cannon fire going on, so you might get some splashes in there. The smells of the sulfur from the cannons actually smells pretty good, and stuff like that. And then, of course, if you love Jack Sparrow, great ride. And then right when you're towards the end, of course, you hear the most iconic songs of all time at Disney, "Yo ho, A Pirate's Life." So that's why I like it so much. Maybe it's because I love the Caribbean just in general, but definitely a good ride, a definitely fun ride to be a part of. And yeah, if you've only seen the movies, you know, definitely go on it just because now you know why the movies inspired this. That I will say without a shadow of a doubt, this is not controversial. This is fact. Disney, that is the only ride to movie concept that just blew everything out of the water. I know they tried with Tomorrowland, bad. I know they tried with Jungle Cruise. I'm sorry, The Rock, not the same, not even close. Really, the Jungle Cruise, if you want to go on it, folks, and be harassed with horrible dad jokes the entire time you're on it, it's the ride for you. But other than that, I would not recommend it, and it would never make my top 10 ever. But yeah, so Pirates of the Caribbean, it's the only ride that I can say with full honesty that the movies and the ride both do it justice. It definitely makes you feel like you want to be a pirate and hang the Jolly Roger and just have a good old time with it. So that's just something to keep in mind. So with that, I'll let Jason talk about his number 3 controversial ride, which I hope it's not as bad as I think it's going to be, but we will see. Jason, I guess go ahead with it, man. Hit me with it.
Yep. So, yeah, as far as Pirates, just to kind of say one more thing on that, it is amazing how big the media franchise from the attraction itself has become. There's nothing else like that in the world for sure. But yeah, at number 3, I have Journey into Imagination featuring Figment. No, I'm just kidding. That would be bottom 3 of all time ever. Some people are probably going to think this is just as ridiculous, though. But legitimately, at number 3, I have The People Mover. And it beats out Pirates of the Caribbean, beats out Big Thunder Mountain. But not even that it necessarily beats out those attractions. It's just that as someone going to Magic Kingdom a lot, even if it is a slam-packed day, everything is at like an hour and a half wait, you can practically walk on to the People Mover. And it is a solid 15-minute attraction. I mean, you were on there for at least 15 minutes. You get to go through Space Mountain. There's air conditioning. You get to see everything in Tomorrowland. Get good views of the castle. I just love it. It's just a great experience, even though it's not very interesting by most people's standards. In fact, it probably would have been number 1 or number 2 on my list, but they changed the narration within the last year or two, and it's just not the same. They had to update it for Tron, and whoever is doing the new narration, like, nothing against them personally, but it's not as good as it used to be. So unfortunately, that has knocked it down a little bit on my standards. But yeah, for me, number 3, The People Mover.
Yeah, I knew he was going with it, folks. I already knew. he loves it. Literally, you're just, it was an idea by Walt. Instead of having, people be congested and stuff like that, it was it was his idea for a quicker way to get to places throughout the park. And sadly, they wanted to keep it in Tomorrowland just because it was that futuristic type feel to it. So that's why it's only located in Tomorrowland. Now it can go pretty fast. And they talk about, Captain Kirk going to Jupiter or something like that. I mean, it won't happen in anybody's lifetimes. I can tell you that already. That'd be awesome, but it never did. That was just one of those things that, back in the 50s and 60s, huge, imagination of how far we could truly travel in space. But yeah, the People Mover, it's nice. I mean, it is okay. But yeah, to put it over Pirates, I mean, at least if you're going to do it, have that 3 and Pirates 2. So then that way, you're not discrediting Pirates, because the People Mover literally was just, it was an idea by Walt that I wish, they probably used it more of, and it's spread out. But sadly, yeah, they just keep it confined. But it's something. But yeah, man, whew. I knew it was going to be up there. I honestly thought it was going to be your number 1. I'm not going to lie. I was ready for... Yeah, I was ready for I know what his number 1's going to be, but it did make the top 3.
You might be surprised at my number 1.
Okay. Well, with that, I guess I'll let you do number 2 there, and then we'll see about number 1 for sure.
So number 2 for me, this is one that a lot of people surely have as number 1. Many people consider it the best of the classic attractions. I consider it the best of the classic attractions, and that would be the Haunted Mansion. It really is just such an incredible experience. These effects that are, in some cases, hundreds of years old, still stand up to the test today. It's better than pretty much any, I would say 95% of the newer attractions that they've attempted to implement. Actually, probably 99%, but the queue is nice. Yes, a lot of it is outdoors, but once you get inside, you don't have long to wait until you actually get on the ride. It's a very fast dispatch because the ride is obviously always moving. And I love the theme. I love the feeling of it. You have the scary part of the ride, which is my favorite part, and then you have the funny part, which is kind of the dichotomy that they had going when the Imagineers were making it. Because it was originally supposed to be a walkthrough attraction, and it was just supposed to be scary. Like, it was supposed to be, like, terrifying to most people. But then they kind of... It was Mark Davis and Claude Coates kind of made it, like, a funny, scary combo. But it's really untouched. Not untouched, but unreplicated anywhere else, I would say. It can get up to an hour-long wait. Especially when the movie was coming out, which is when I was down there last year, it got very popular. But yeah, usually it's not a terrible wait, and it's well worth it at any point.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. When you go in, you know, it's either going to be a cast member and they're dressed up in classic Victorian, either butler or maid outfit, and you know they have you walk in, and you walk into the waiting room, and you know you watch that there are three paintings on the wall, and as you go down, you will notice that the paintings are getting bigger, and it's actually like what looks like an innocent painting actually is like, you know, there's one where they're sinking in quicksand and one person's at the top, you know, or you know they're sitting on top of a bunch of dynamite and stuff like that. You just it's definitely crazy, but yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun, a lot of you know, not too scary. I mean, there might be the occasional pop up like from in the ride, not a person, but like a actual like animatronic pop up or something. But it's nothing too bad. But yeah, if you like horror and stuff like that, that's definitely the ride for you. I'd put it up there. That'd probably be for me. It'd probably number 4, number 5, but that's just me. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a good pick with that. And with that, I guess we will go to the top of the mountain, number 1. What do you got there, JaForce, Jason?
So number 1 for me is an attraction that some people do not like because they'll consider it too extreme. But definitely one of the more extreme Disney rides, if not the most extreme. But number 1 is It's a Small World. No, I'm just kidding. No, that would be the end of days if that happened.
I would, folks. If he had said that was his number 1, I would say get him out. I don't know. You got to go right now. Like that's how bad that would be. No, that's not his number 1. I know what it is, but go ahead, brother. You hit us with it.
So number 1 is Rock and Roller Coaster in Hollywood Studios. And it would have been Splash Mountain by a country mile if this had been any other time other than right now. But since that has unfortunately been wrongfully done away with, Rock and Roller Coaster is number 1 on my list. I love classic rock, 80s rock. And like I said, I love rides that they play music through the actual ride vehicle. Even though it's not a very long ride, it's only like a minute and a half or 2 minutes, something like that. I love it. I love that it's in the dark. It has inversions. The queue isn't too bad. And once again, it's one of those very few attractions that has a single rider line. So if you are there by yourself, you can usually get on there. The single rider line on that does get long on its own, but you probably won't wait more than 30 minutes. But yeah, that reaches number one on my list just because I love the experience of it with the music and everything. It's definitely a top quality experience.
Right. And for those who don't know, Rock and Roller Coaster, sponsored by Aerosmith. So for everybody who loves the song like Dream On, that kind of thing, that's their ride. Disney made a contract with them a long time ago. I think probably when they first started, and were popular. So they have been under contract for a long time with Disney. So surprise! I think they even perform at, not all the time, but every now and again they even perform at Epcot because they do have some like contractual agreement. I'm not sure, but definitely Rock and Roller Coaster is awesome. Yeah, if you love music, if you love the feel, the thrill, and the rush of going super duper fast while listening to classic rock, it's the thing for you. Mm-hmm.
So what would you consider number one? Was it Pirates or?
So number one, actually, now that I thought about it, yeah, so Pirates would be number one probably, and then for my number two would be Slinky Dog. I'm surprised you didn't have Slinky Dog in your top 10. What is wrong with you? Hey, this guy. I mean, Slinky Dog's a great roller coaster. It's super fun. It's Toy Story themed to the max. The best experience is definitely like being at the extreme back. It's not like you get horrible whiplash, but you do get a better rush of speed. But yeah, it's definitely fun. Super chill, definitely a fun ride. And, Smuggler's Run, since I did experience being a pilot and being an engineer, I still enjoyed it just because, if you love Star Wars, it should be no problem for you whether you are a pilot or engineer or gunner. It's definitely one of those things. Now, if you have an expert pilot, such as myself, don't tell Hondo, because he owes me money. He owes everybody. But anyway, if you're an experienced pilot, it's kind of like an airline. If you have an experienced pilot, you're going to have a smooth ride. If you don't have an experienced pilot, like let's say an 8-year-old kid, you're going to be going up and down and left and right. It's going to feel like a mess. So yeah, I mean, I can understand where it might not be fun to some, but yeah, if you're really just truly obsessed with all things Star Wars and it's something you want to do, and just say you are in the Millennium Falcon, whether you're again flying it or repairing it or whatever the case may be, super fun. Definitely recommend it still. So yeah, that would be my number 4 ride. But yeah, I cannot believe you didn't have Slinky Dog on this list. So yeah, that's my number 1, 1 through 10, and I know Jason had his 1 through 10. So yeah, it was. Hey, yeah, he said controversial. He was right. Hey, I'm gonna need a drink after that one. Hey.
It definitely was controversial in many ways, and I will say Slinky Dog, I definitely do love that ride. If it didn't have like an 80-minute wait all the time, I would ride it repeatedly. And the queue was unfortunately all outdoors too. That's really the only thing holding that ride back, in my opinion. But no, it's definitely it's the best strictly outdoors coaster at Disney for sure. It was a good addition to Toy Story Land, and people love it because even families can ride it. It's not so extreme that anyone who is slightly averse to thrill rides will not want to ride it. So, but yeah, I believe that is all we have for this video. So once again, we thank you for joining us. Hopefully this has given you some value of some kind. I mean, at least hopefully you've kind of thought about if you are going to do a college program, some of these attractions should be on your list, at least for the ability to walk on and not waste an hour of your day. But all of them you should try at some point for sure. But other than that, we hope you have received the truth from the truth behind the magic. And we will see you on the flip side.
See you on the flip side. Yeah.